Hello everyone. In this video, we will learn how to find the derivative of trigonometric functions by using these rules. So let's go through the rules really quick. So the derivative of sine is cosine, the derivative of cosine is negative sine, the derivative of tangent is secant squared, and then the derivative of cosecant is negative cosecant cotangent, the derivative of secant, secant tangent, and the derivative of cotangent, negative cosecant squared. Okay, so we are going to start using these rules to find the derivative of a complex trigonometric functions. The first one, find the derivative for each of the following functions and simplify your answer. So the question is y equal cosecant x minus 4 square root of x plus 7. So how many terms do we have here? We have 1, we have 2, we have 3. So we need to find the derivative for each one of them. Easy, we can try the cosecant x. Well, based on the definition of the derivative of cosecant, I can write it here. Cosecant x, the derivative, is basically equal to negative cosecant x cotangent x. Cotangent x. So we are going to use this. So equal. So for the first part, negative cosecant x cotangent x. Now that's the first part. And then next we will move on to the negative 4 square root of x. What is the derivative of square root of x? Well, the derivative of square root of x is basically x to the power of 1/2. And then when we find the derivative of x to the power of 1/2, what we are going to do, we'll take 1/2 out. And then we will reduce this by 1. So it's going to be, we're going to get 1/2 minus 1, which is equal 1/2 x to the power of negative 1/2. Now if you will put it, put it in a simplest form, it will be 2. And then x to the power of 1/2. And that's basically equal to 1 over 2 square root of x. Okay, so I can come here and write the answer, which is, I'm going to erase this side. Okay, and that's my final answer. So I'm going to say minus 4 multiply 1 over 2 square root of x. And then finally plus 7, that's the derivative of plus 7 is 0, that's a constant. Now let's try to simplify this. Negative cosecant x cotangent x. 4 and 2, that's 2, so a negative 2. Negative 2 over, sorry, I'm going to do it in a different color. Square root of x, and that's all. So that's basically everything about it. What about this question here? Okay, so here I have sine x plus cosine x multiply secant x. In this case, we are going to use the multiplication rule, which is u times v. Remember, u multiply v, the derivative of this will be equal u prime v plus u v prime. So now we need to tell what is u. U in this case is sine x plus cosine x, right? And we can find the derivative of that. So the derivative of sine, we said the derivative of sine x is x basically cosine x. So I can say cosine x. And the derivative of cosine x is negative sine x. But don't forget that plus negative sine x. So finally u prime will be equal cosine x minus sine x. So we have u. Now we need to find v and v prime. So v is secant. V equal secant x. V prime based on the rule equal to secant x tangent x. Now we can go here and follow the rule, which is u prime v plus u v prime. So y prime equal u prime, which is cosine x minus sine x, multiply v secant x, then plus u, which is sine x plus cosine x, multiply v prime, and v prime here is secant x tangent x. Now it's turn to simplify this. We all know that secant x is equal to 1 over cosine, right? And we also know that tangent x is sine over cosine. And so we are going to use these, okay? We are going to use these for the simplify. So what I'm going to do here, I will say, okay, cosine x minus sine x multiply secant, and secant here is basically 1 over cosine. Easily I can rewrite this as cosine x minus sine x over cosine x. Okay guys, now plus. Now this one, sine x cosine plus cosine x, multiply, now look carefully at this, 1 over cosine x multiply, so everything is multiplied, sine over cosine. Now if I will put it all together, I'm going to get sine x plus cosine x multiply sine x, this sine x will go all, this sine x up will go all the way here, so I can multiply all of this by sine x over 2 cosines, right, which is cosine times cosine, cosine squared x. Cosine multiply cosine is cosine squared, like x multiply x is x squared, not 2x. Now I will simplify by adding these two fractions. Well, I have cosine square here, I have cosine. I need one more cosine on this side, okay? So I need one more cosine, so I will multiply this by cosine x and this by cosine x. So now I will have cosine, I will expand now, and same here. Let's put the same denominator, which is cosine cosine squared x. Cosine squared x. Well, I'm gonna go, I get up cosine squared x, cosine times cosine times sine, negative sine x cosine x, and then plus sine times sine squared x, sine times cosine, sine x cosine x. Okay, now let's look carefully and let's simplify. Sine x cosine x will go with negative sine x cosine x, like negative 1 plus 1. Now what do we have here? Cosine square x plus sine square x. What is cosine square plus sine squared? Well, we know from pre-calculus sine squared x plus cosine squared x equal 1. That's a rule. So this all equal to 1 over cosine squared x. What is 1 over cosine? Secant. What is 1 over cosine square? Secant squared. So the final answer is secant squared x. All of this ends up with just one term. Okay guys, let's try this one now. Some people would like to expand and then find the derivative. You can do that, but it's going to be long. Sometimes you can look at the functions and you will feel like, oh, I can rewrite it in an easier way. So if you look at this function here, secant plus tangent multiply secant minus tangent. This can remind us with the difference of two squares, right? It's going to be equal to x squared minus y squared. So what I'm going to get out of this? Well, I can easily write it as secant squared x minus tangent squared x. Done. So again, sometimes it's easier to follow the rule or try to simplify first before you go ahead and find the derivative. Now we can find the derivative. So the derivative of y, so I'm going to start here, y prime equal. What is the derivative of secant? Secant tangent. What is the derivative of secant square? Well, it's like x squared, 2x, right? So you are going to do that. So first, this 2 can come out, so it's 2 secant x, and then multiply the derivative of secant, which is secant x tangent x. All of this just for the secant square. Now minus, again we are going to do the same, 2 tangent x, and then what is the derivative of tangent? Secant squared x. Okay, so one more time, you take the 2 first, like if you have, like, for example, x to the power of 3 will be 3x to the power of 3 minus 1, which is 2, right? And then the derivative of x, which is 1. Same. So here we have secant squared x. First you take the 2, so 2 secant x. 2 times 1 is 1. And then you multiply by the derivative of secant, okay? Then you multiply by the derivative of secant. And now you can expand, which is equal to 2 secant squared x tangent x minus 2 secant squared x tangent x. Well, 2 secant squared tangent x minus 2 secant squared tangent x equal to 0. Now let's try this question. So here, what do we have? We have first term, second term, third term. We are going to do, since I have plus and minus in between them, I'm going to do each one of them separately. So here we have two functions, x squared and cosine x. So now let's do it here. U is equal x squared and u prime will be 2x. Now v is cosine x and v prime is sine x, negative sine x, negative sine x. Now what you are going to do, based on the rule u prime v plus u v prime. So I'm going to go here and say y prime equal u prime, which is 2x multiply v cosine x plus u multiply sine prime, negative sine x, which is v prime. Okay, now second part is basically the same. I have two functions. The first one is u, negative 2x, so u prime will be negative 2, and v is sine x, so v prime will be cosine x. One more time, u prime v plus u v prime. So u prime, which is negative 2, v sine x plus u, which is negative 2x, v prime, which is cosine x. Now finally, what about negative 2 cosine x? Well, negative 2 is negative 2, cosine x is negative sine x. Now it's time to put all together and simplify. So 2x cosine x minus x squared sine x, negative because of this negative, okay guys, minus 2 sine x minus 2x cosine x plus 2 sine x. Now what did we notice? This can cross out this, and this one with this one. So what is left? Negative x squared sine x. That's my derivative. Now if I ask you what is the derivative when x equal pi, you will substitute x by pi here. Now next question, 1 plus cosecant t over 1 minus cosecant t. That's exactly same as u over v. So let's see where is u. U in this case is 1 plus cosecant t. And u prime will be, the derivative of 1 is 0. The derivative of cosecant is negative. Cosecant cotangent t. We are doing t right now, x now. Now v is going to be 1 minus cosecant t. And v prime will be, the derivative of 1 is 0. The derivative of negative cosecant is negative. Negative is already there. That's going to be the negative 1. Like when you have 2, you will put 2. When you have 3, you will put 3. When you have negative 1, you will put negative 1. So negative 1 multiply negative cosecant t cotangent t. That will be cosecant, negative times negative is positive. So cosecant t cotangent t. So the rule says S prime equal u prime v minus u v prime over v squared. So I will go here and say S prime equal, the denominator will be v squared up u prime negative cosecant cotangent multiply v minus, okay, u v prime. So I need to erase this part so I can write. I'm going to keep the v prime. U prime, I'm going to extend the line. So it will be minus u 1 plus cosecant t v prime cosecant t cotangent t. And then we try to simplify. So simplifying, we will expand. So I'm going to multiply this by this and by this. And same here, I will multiply these two. Remember there is a negative, so I'm going to multiply negative cosecant cotangent, multiply the rest. So don't forget this negative. So S prime equal negative cosecant t cotangent t, and then negative times negative is positive, cosecant square t cotangent t, and then next negative cosecant t cotangent t, and then negative cosecant cotangent times cosecant, negative cosecant square t cotangent t, and then over 1 minus cosecant t all squared. We'll try to simplify. So basically this can cross out this, and now here we will end up with negative 2, because negative cosecant cotangent minus cosecant cotangent is negative 2, like negative x minus x is negative 2x, cosecant t cotangent t over 1 minus cosecant t squared. Okay guys, and that's the simplest form. Okay guys, in this question we need to find dr over d theta, or you can call it r prime. This is by mistake, it should be theta. Okay guys, this is theta. Now let's do it. First we have 4, the derivative of 4 is 0. Then we have negative theta squared sine theta. We have two functions here. So u is negative theta squared. So the u prime will be negative 2 theta, like x, negative x squared, negative 2x. And then you have v is sine theta, and v prime is equal cosine theta. And then you will do what? U prime v plus uv prime. So equal, I'm going to put it here, u prime negative 2 theta times v sine theta plus u negative theta squared plus v prime cosine theta. So finally it will be negative 2 theta sine theta minus theta prime cosine theta. And that's basically the simplest form. Finally, sine x over 1 plus cosine x. Well, again, we need to use u, which is sine x, and u prime will be cosine x. And then v is 1 plus cosine x. V prime, the derivative of 1 is 0, the derivative of cosine, negative sine x. And then you have u prime v minus uv prime over v squared. So this is dy over dx, or you can call it y prime. So u prime cosine x times v 1 plus cosine x minus u sine x times v prime negative sine x. All of this over what? Over, okay, v squared. Okay, guys, let me erase that. Now time to simplify. I'm going to expand, and here too. Cosine x plus cosine squared x plus sine squared x over 1 plus cosine x all squared. And now we know that these two are equal to 1. Sine squared plus cosine, sine squared plus cosine squared is 1. So equal cosine x plus 1 over 1 plus cosine x all squared. Well, the numerator and the denominator are the same. We can switch them. So we can say 1 plus cosine x over 1 plus cosine x multiply 1 plus cosine x, right? These two can cross out each other. So the final answer, 1 over 1 plus cosine x. So again, cosine squared is 1 plus cosine, 1 plus cosine. So guys, we are done. Hopefully it's easy. Let me know if you have any question, and see you next video. Bye.